Hey guys, welcome back to Ben & Brewing's channel. If you haven't been here before, we do product reviews, tutorials, and we have a live chat feature on our website to help you through your Brew Day 911s. Chat us up at benandbrewing.com, lower left-hand corner. We are happy to help. Today's video, we're super excited because we got sent iGulu's newest kit. It is an Irish Stout. We're very excited to brew it and see what kind of changes they've made to their brewing kits. We're going to put it head-to-head against their English Porter, which we've done before. Let's check it out. All right, so before we get started today, as a reminder, today's video is sponsored by iGulu. We will have a discount coupon code in the description. If you'd like to purchase the iGulu, it should be a 20% off coupon. That does actually help support our channel. It is an affiliate link. iGulu recently launched their Irish Stout kit, which we're actually excited to have our hands on it today. We're gonna have a double brew day where we're gonna brew up their English Porter, which we've done before and did a tasting on. Check out that link below if you haven't seen that video. And we're actually then gonna brew the Irish Stout, and we're gonna taste them both side by side and see what the differences are. Now, Stouts and Porters obviously are different beers, both of them dark, but they do have very different flavor profiles. I am extremely curious to see how iGulu was able to get Irish Stout flavor in such a small compact kit. All right, so we brewed up the English Porter kit before, but let's just do a quick recap of what comes in the kit. You have your pack of dark dried malt extract. They come with two of the hop extracts themselves. One is the Hersbrucker, which is a German noble hop, and that's where you get a lot of the flavoring from, more the aroma really. And then they have a bittering extract as well, and that helps to boost and balance the beer. Along with that, you have your yeast pack, which obviously we'll be pitching into the keg here in a little bit, and then your RFID sticker for the fermentation profile. All right, let's get started brewing it. Go ahead and take your Triton keg and make sure that you sanitize it before doing anything else. Remember, sanitization is very important when you're brewing, especially on the cold side, which is really all that we do in the iGulu. Anything that comes in contact with your beer should be sanitized. You're gonna fill your Triton keg with 116 ounces of clean filtered water. Again, we recommend filtered water because it removes the chlorine. Chlorine can then lend to off flavors in your finished beer. We don't recommend using distilled or anything that's ultra purified. The minerals are actually kind of a good thing. They add a little seasoning to the beer itself. Once you've filled your Triton keg with the clean filtered water, you're gonna go ahead and add both of your hop extracts, the Hersbrucker and the bittering. After that, go ahead and add in your 1 pack of dried malt extract. Once you get it added to your keg, make sure you use a sanitized spoon, preferably stainless steel or some other metal. Wood you really don't want to use because you can't sanitize that very well. Take a metal spoon and make sure you stir it in so that all of your dried malt extract is fully dissolved into the liquid. Once that's done, go ahead and take your yeast pack, open it up and sprinkle it on top of your now wort in your Triton keg. Now, one thing we are going to do with this batch and the stout that we're going to brew here shortly is we're going to throw a tilt hydrometer in just to check the gravity and see what the final gravity finishes out to be to make sure that it has finished all the way out. It's not something that you have to do, but we like to do that just so we can track fermentation all the way out and make sure that fermentation profile is accurate and correct. You're gonna seal up the Triton keg lid, so put the lid on, add the safety clamp on top of that to make sure that while your Triton keg is fermenting under pressure, the lid does not pop off. Go ahead and attach your serving tube. Make sure that you're closing that clamp first before you connect the poppet into the serving line. Go ahead and load it into your iGulu. Drop the keg into the iGulu itself. Go ahead and put your serving tube into the tap handle, make sure it's clamped down, and then hook up your pressure monitor. Go ahead and put the lid on your Triton keg, scan your RFID sticker, and set it for your New England Porter fermentation schedule. All right, let's brew up the new Irish Stout kit, but first let's review what comes in the pack. Quick side note, I do love the new branding that they're using on their kits. It looks so appetizing with the picture of that finished beer on it. So I'm actually excited they're starting to kind of do that. It has a more of a mature feel to it, so it's nice. All right, so let's review what comes in the kit. Now, this is actually a little bit different than the other kits that we've done, and I'm kind of intrigued and I'm curious to see how it comes out. So you have your pack of dark dried malt extract, which makes sense. That's the same thing that's in the porter. They do include 2 packs of what they're calling the stout style sugar. Now, this has more malt extract in it as well, and actually have a couple of different types. There's a wheat malt extract in there. It says malted barley, and they put lactose. Now, for those of you that don't know, lactose is a milk sugar that typically is unfermentable, so it actually adds sort of a mouthfeel, a little bit of sweetness to the finished beer, which is kind of expected in an Irish stout. So instead of using specialty grains like you would at a normal brew, they've actually included 2 packs of that flavoring to include into the dark dried malt extract. So I'm really curious how much that flavor is going to come through. With their fermentables out of the way, they do come with 2 pouches of the bittering extract for the hops. It's actually not a specific hop flavoring, not a specific hop style. It's just the bittering, which is interesting. And it did come with 2 packs of yeast. Now, most ales that we've done so far with iGulu have only come with 1 pack. We did have a lager pilsner style beer that came with 2 packs, which makes sense. You always want to overpitch your lager yeast, but they have 2 packs of ale yeast. So I'm going to reach out and I'll update kind of in the comments or maybe at the end of the video during the tasting if they meant to send 2 packs or if that's a mistake. If they did send 2 packs, not necessarily a bad thing. It's kind of difficult to overpitch unless you go way overboard. What this will result in, if this is correct, is a very clean Irish stout and probably a very quick fermentation. All right, guys, let's brew up our Irish Stout kit. Similar with the porter kit, make sure that you're using a nice filtered water or something that doesn't have chlorine in it. Go ahead and fill your Triton keg up to the 116-ounce mark. Make sure, prior to that, I always forget this, to sanitize anything that's going to come in contact with your beer at any point during fermentation. So make sure you sanitize your keg, the lid, and the serving tube. Once that's done, go ahead and add your 116 ounces of clean and filtered water. Once your water is added, go ahead and add your hop extract packets into your Triton keg. And you're gonna go ahead and add your dark dried malt extract and your 2 packs of the, what they're calling the stout style sugar. Once those are added, take a sanitized spoon and mix everything in until it is well dissolved. Once that's done, go ahead and pitch both of your yeast packs on top of your wort. And again, we're gonna verify that we were supposed to receive 2. More than likely it is correct. Once you pitch your yeast, go ahead and seal up your Triton keg. Go ahead and put the lid on it, add your safety clamp. Once you get your lid attached to your Triton keg, go ahead and attach your serving tube, making sure that the clamp is all the way down so you don't end up spewing beer everywhere during fermentation. And then you can go ahead and load it into your iGulu. Secure the serving tube into the tap handle, make sure it clamps on it so there's pressure. And once that's done, go ahead and attach your CO2 monitor, pressure monitor to your Triton keg. Scan your RFID sticker and make sure that it's set for the Irish Stout. You're looking at 12 days of total fermentation with a 3-day crash at 35 to allow it to carbonate and crash cool. All right, so we brewed up both of our beers in the iGulu. We're sitting down with a tasting. Before we get into the tasting, I do want to kind of go around the table real quick and introduce. We've got Danny Ockett, who is our neighbor down the street. He actually did a tasting with us, off-flavor tasting, a couple of months ago, and he actually won because he nailed the tasting. He was able to taste the off-flavor, so we decided to have him back to do a tasting of the head-to-head of the porter versus the Irish Stout from iGulu. Christy, of course, is always with me with the tastings and helping to produce and edit and all that other fun stuff. So without further ado, I'm excited to get into it. So let's start tasting. What do you guys think we should taste first? Let's do the porter.
Let's do the porter.
We'll start with the porter. So that was one thing I did have to mention. So the Irish Stout didn't seem to have a lot of carbonation coming out. It's been crash cooled for a couple days, so it does seem a little low. The porter had plenty of head. It's kind of died down now, but it's definitely seems well carbonated. So if we'll start with the porter. Since we've done the porter before, this will be our baseline before we move on to the stout. So
okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Very smooth.
Doesn't taste as roasty as the last kit we did.
No.
That last one was just, it was amazing with how sharp the roastiness was, and I was puzzled with how they were able to do it since it was just the dark extract. This one, and maybe because it's super cold, maybe it hasn't warmed up quite yet.
Well, I think so, because it's very smooth in taste.
Mm-hmm. It's still a good kit. It's a solid porter.
It's good. It tastes more thin than it did before. I feel like flavor-wise, it's not as rich. But
No.
I think you're right. Maybe it's because it hasn't.
And it's also
warmed up.
super young. When we did the porter before, it
That's
sat in
right,
for like 2
yeah,
weeks before we messed
yeah.
with it. This just finished up a couple days ago. So
Still
it is
good.
still pretty young. The flavor will continue to develop as it goes.
Very tasty.
Yeah, oh, it's a good kit.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I gotta finish it.
I'm going back and forth. I'm curious with the Irish Stout. So what was different with it, and if you guys saw it in the video, they did have 2 packs of yeast that they shipped with it. That was actually correct. That was not a mistake, which is what I thought. They had the regular dark malt extract, as you guys saw, and then 2 packs of what they were calling stout flavoring, which contained lactose, which is a milk sugar, which generally is not fermentable. So it should have some residual sweetness like an Irish Stout should. Irish Stouts porters are dry and crisp. Irish Stouts usually have a little bit rounder mouthfeel, a little softer, a little bit sweeter. So you can usually take an Irish Stout poured over ice cream if you haven't done that before. Oh, it is so
gosh.
good. Oh my gosh. All right, let's try the stout.
Cheers.
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 Interestingly, I don't get as much roasty out of this compared to that in the nose.
Well, I gotta say, this is very good too.
It's got a lot of sweetness to it.
Yeah.
It does. I actually, compared to the porter, which I thought was going to be the opposite, I think this one has a lot more flavor. It's a richer flavor.
Yes.
And I feel like if it aged a little bit more, it'd be even better. But it definitely has a deeper flavor.
I agree. This was very smooth. This is a little bit more rich.
It's got, yeah, definitely, which makes sense with the kit for the porter. It just has, it was a single ingredient basically with the yeast. So there's not a lot of complexity they put in there. This kit, they had a bunch of other things that went with it. And that lactose, which is a milk sugar, which helps to improve the mouthfeel so it's a little bit richer. Interesting. So this, I think with the carbonation coming up over more time, that's not the kit's fault. That's us trying to get this tasted as quickly as we can. I think extra carbonation would help enhance the flavor. I think it would maybe sharpen it up a bit too. And that might actually, it almost tastes a little too sweet for me. I gotta be honest. That milk stout, the lactose, the milk sugar, almost makes it a little too sweet in the finish. But I think if it was properly carbonated, that acidity from the CO2, the carbonic acid, would help to nullify some of that sweetness, and it would be much more balanced. Overall, I think it's a good kit. I'm excited to see the enhancements that iGulu made with it, because they've definitely upped their game when it came to this kit. And this is definitely a tough one to do. I was checking, just to get technical on it, the gravity of these. So the final gravity, which is how much sugar is left after fermentation that hasn't been converted into alcohol. I had taken some measurements of it. So this one finished at a 1019, 1.019 final gravity. The stout was actually 1029, so it was 10 points higher in residual sugars that are left over, which explains why it has that sweetness to it. But I think overall it's a good beer.
I think it's like you said, age time will definitely smooth it out and round it out, but it was really good.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our video on iGulu's newest kit, the Irish Stout. We definitely think they hit it out of the park with this one. If you haven't brewed this yet, highly recommend it. Give it a try, let us know your thoughts. We may do some follow-ups of adding some additional flavor, maybe tweaking it a little bit. We'll kind of see what strikes us. If you have any interest in brewing at all, definitely follow our channel and take a look at some of the tutorials we put out there. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, catch you later, my friends.